Scales and Scales, The Empty Throne, Chapter 5, The Last Party. As he is being escorted back into the castle, Silvus cannot help thinking about the girl raptor Osea. Never in his life did he think he would ever find a girl raptor who took a lot of interest in him. Remembering his time in the monastery, he tried talking to other female raptors, but all they did was break conversation with him, even if he stayed on topic or didn't lecture, which annoyed the tail feathers out of him. Not Osea, though. Unlike many others, Osea actually listened to him, and did not at some point try to shut him up or make any attempt to break the conversation. What she did, though, was kept on talking to him, and he liked it. Another train of thought Silvus has in his mind is the strange amulet that Osea wore around her neck. He remembers during their supposed date, the amulet would glow bright green, as if it were enchanted by mist. If he remembers correctly, under the Mist School of Enchanting, a Mistcaster could enchant an object to do almost anything. His thoughts are interrupted by the movement of the carriage stopping, making him wobble a bit. One of the two guards on the carriage gets down from his seat to open Silvus's carriage door. "We are here, back in front of the courtyard, my lord. I must escort you to your mother at once." The guard speaks with a voice of authority. It makes Silvus worried, and wonders if something bad might have happened. "Is my mother okay?" he asks the guard in front of him. Lady Beta is doing absolutely fine in this glorious hour." The guard's tone, a voice switches from being serious to excitement. In relief, Silvus climbs down from his carriage to be escorted by the guards leading him into the castle. Back in the throne room, no raptor seems to be present except for the guards at their posts, with one blocking each stairway and two lower doors on each side. He is escorted to one wooden door located on the wall next to the wellspring, which is supposed to lead to the back courtyard. The guard then orders Silvus to wait as he walks through the door, leaving Silvus alone in the throne room. To pass time, Silvus walks towards his mother's pearl stone throne, placed in front of the wellspring. As the future Beta Lord, he knows that he will sit on it one day to help his citizens within the Betadom. With curiosity, the new young Mistcaster walks further and hops onto it. Due to the blue leather cushions on both the seat and the backrest, it is very comfy. He looks up, gazing at the luxurious ceiling, lying back on the throne, and closes his eyes to daydream about himself as the new Beta Lord. In his dream, Silvus imagines himself as an older male raptor, dressed in robes almost fit for a ruler, wearing his Beta Lord crown. In front of him is a line of citizens coming for weekly pensions. The first one is a male Delta caste, escorting a young female with her hood up. "Lord Beta, for what you have done for your Betadom, I have traveled from Manchester to give you my sister in marriage." The Delta tells the maiden to put down her hood, and she complies to reveal the familiar beautiful she-raptor, Osea. Silvus comes down from his throne to walk toward her to give her claw a kiss, like a gentleman. Dream Osea giggles with blush in her cheeks as she walks towards him seductively.
"My dear Silvus, I will be honored to be your wedded wife, if you accept."
Dream Silvus wraps his arms around Dream Osea, full of confidence. With a smile on his face, he is about to give his answer when the entrance doors burst open, interrupting him with a guard running in, shouting, my lord, wake up! Silvus wakes back up from his daydream, freaking out as he looks side to side, as if he heard a ghost screech at him. To his right, he sees a guard right next to him. My lord, come with me to back courtyard, the guard commands, still standing. Gazing around one more time, Silvus gets off his throne to follow the guard to the back courtyard to be greeted by a large crowd of raptors gathered in the middle to shout, "Surprise!" Silvus is taken aback by the sight of a nicely decorated back courtyard that blends well with the flora present. Tables with food are set up. A platform with a band prepares to perform. And most of the crowds are various nobles from across the kingdom. They probably want to try to make connections with him. He is the future Beta Lord of Magalo after all, so it makes sense that the Deltas and Betas would come and try to appease him. Among the crowd, his mother Silvira walks up with a joyful expression. Is this party for me? Silvus asks her, looking surprised, as one of the guards behind him snickers at such an obvious question.
Oh, Silvus, watching how dedicated you are, I knew in my heart you would succeed, which is why I organized this party for you,
his mother explains, as she looks down looking sad.
You are just like your father,
she whispers. Silvus feels himself blush. His heart warms at the feeling of being compared to his father, whoever he is. Growing up, he always wanted to ask her who he was. But when he did, she would make ways to dodge every question. He is going to ask about who his father is again, until a familiar voice of a certain cousin comes into play. Are you guys just going to stand there, or can we get this party started? Eco shouts out, earning a smack from behind from his father, Orzine. During the party, most of the guests speak to each other, dance to the music being played by the band, or eat snacks from the tables. The hatchlings who were brought around played with each other, childish games. Silvus, on the other claw, stands around looking at the crowd, hoping to see familiar faces. Most of the crowd, as he guesses, are nobles looking all snobby. The males wear fancy scarves, and the females wear short cloaks, jewelry, or both. From behind, a pair of claws grab him, making him do a small flinch.
Do you miss me, Sylvie?
A young female voice asks from behind. He turns around to see a familiar teal-colored female with semi-long blue mane, wearing a purple tricia cloak with a necklace made of seashells wrapped around her neck. It was Vessel Sulfi, his cousin, or Sidon Sulfi now, since she is married to a higher-ranking noble male. Oh my gosh, Sulfi! Silvus is going to hug her back, but she raises her arms, telling him to stop. With a confused face, he makes a few steps backwards with his claws raised. It is not like her to refuse hugs from him. He continues to scan around her pale silvery eyes that are looking at him, guarded, until she speaks with a hushed tone. Don't take this the wrong way. I have a special condition to tell father, so would you mind be gentle? Sophie speaks in a voice with a small hint of nervousness. Silvus curiously tilts his head owl-like, wondering what she is talking about. He gets worried that something happened to her health, so he asks her if she is okay. Sophie starts to look uneasy when he asks. She grabs Silvus by his ungloved claw to take him to a corner of the courtyard to be out of earshot. With both cousins hidden by a post, Sophie takes a deep breath so she could spill the news.
Dear cousin, I'm grivid.
Sophie speaks quietly as she places her claws onto her torso to reveal her bulging belly. Sophie, that's amazing! Silvus exclaims as Sophie grabs his snout, making a hushed sound. Silvus apologizes with a blush of embarrassment, making a toothy smile.
Yes, Silvus, I am so excited and nervous at the same time to become a mother. I mean, it's my first time.
Sophie begins to freak out like a warrior wart. He stops her by placing his claws on her shoulders gently. He looks around the party, scanning for someone he might know. Where is your husband, the father of your eggs? I thought he'd be happy to be here, he asks.
I'm afraid he cannot make it due to the tons of bandit activity lately back in Tracia. You know, as Beta Lord, it is a job to look after the raptors who live in his betadom on behalf of the Alpha King.
She replies with an annoyed huff, implying that something else is going on. Silvus sighs in disappointment. He was looking forward to see the Beta Lord of Tricia. Hey guys, weren't you having a good time? The two cousins turn to see Eiko approaching them with two young females who are giggling in his arms. Turns out he has been flirting with girls. Silvus cannot help but move his eyes side to side, while Sophie face palms in embarrassment. The two older cousins also think to themselves that Eiko's immaturity is the reason why he does not have many friends.
You have not changed a bit, have you, little brother?
Sophie sternly asks, placing her claws to her hips. Change? Oh, please. The only thing I see change is your weight problem, big sis. Sophie snaps at Eiko's immature insult with a hiss, causing the females to run off in fear. Eiko begins to walk back with a nervous grin as Sophie slowly stumps up towards him with an angry look. Silvus is like, oh boy, knowing that a big rule is to never insult a grivid female due to sensitive mood swings. To prevent further trouble, he moves in front of Sophie and points with his two claws into her eyes, making them glow greenish yellow. As Sophie stares at Silvus's finger claws, she starts to get a bit sleepy. Relax, Silvus commands, calming his older cousin back into sanity. He turns around to face Eiko with a glare and whispers, "You owe me big time." Eiko, now looking guilty, walks up to his sister to say sorry. Sophie accepts his apology, a bit reluctantly, knowing that he is still immature. Well then, male of the hour, now that you're an official Mistcaster, can you show us some cool tricks you learned? Like the calming spell you just did? Eiko asks, turning his attention to Silvus. Why yes.
Why yes, you gotta show us some cool spells you learned, please,
Sophie states in glee, holding her claws together. Nodding with a smile, Silvus agrees to show them a spell he learned. He raises his claw and starts to get wrapped around by misty ice like a blanket. Then he moves his claw slowly in a circular position, causing the mist to form a big ball of ice, only for it to morph into a spike and grabs it. This spell is called the Ice Spear, Silvus explains, and throws it up into the night sky, thanks to the back courtyard lacking a roof. Sophie is amazed, but Eiko only has a smirk in his face. Is that all you got? Show us a more awesome spell, he dares his cousin. Silvus thinks about what spell to perform next, as he taps his chin without realizing the guests are slowly approaching him, eager to see after noticing the Ice Spear spell. Among the crowd are 3 hatchlings, 2 males and 1 adorable female looking at him. The little female walks up to him and tugs his robe to get his attention. Silvus turns around and looks down to see the little girl raptor in a cloak with a bow on her head, holding her teddy rex in her arms.
Can you make a flower out of
She asks. She asks. He looks up to see the guests looking at him. They're probably wondering how is he going to respond due to rumors about how good with hatchlings he is. Looking at the noble girl raptor on one knee, he tells her, I am afraid there is no such spell. But, Silvus looks around to see a damaged candle bulb on a pot. He lifts his gloved claw to use his telekinesis to bring it closer, making the crowd gasp in awe. The pot flies into his claw and shows it to the girl raptor and asks her, Do you know what this is, young lady? The girl raptor scans the potted flower, wondering why he asks her.
It's a candle bulb. I think it looks hurt,
She answers with worry in her voice. Silvus then points at it with his right claw, and a white glow shines around the talon and gently touches the flower, making it glow, healing it good as new. Being healed, the candle bulb opens up to bloom with glitter around it. The girl raptor and the crowd are amazed that he used a healing spell on the flower. That is the healing touch. It can heal any living thing, as long as it's still alive, Silvus explains, as he gives the potted flower to the girl raptor, making her happy. She is so happy, she latches him into a hug, making him blush as the crowd makes an "aww" sound with warm hearts. Behind him, Silvus can hear Sophie squee at his kindness, as Eco makes a snickering sound. From a distance, Silvira watches her son get sworn by the guests, hoping to have a chance to know him, along with Orzim, her bodyguard, and a hologram of the Archsage. I am more surprised you're having a party at a time like this. Silvira turns her head around to see two noble raptors with bodyguards wearing different colored capes and cloaks. One is the Beta Lady of Shirasic, who is a curvy light blue female, dressed in a green cloak. The other is the Beta Lord of Creston, a slightly overweight golden male with a red fur trimmed scarf and a puffy hat on his head. The two betas are giving the old Beta of Magalo concerned looks about her decision to have a party.
I believe my son deserves to have some enjoyment before the inevitable happens.
Sylvia defends her decision. Not that she is ignoring what is going on, but she is trying not to drag him into it. My dear Silvira, does the young chap even know what is going on behind the scenes around us? The jolly Beta Lord of Creston asks, sounding like an artist performing a play. I have to agree with Beta Lord Da Vinci Shakespeare. I fear that one day you will regret not telling your hatchling, the Beta Lady of Shirasic says in a sailor accent, sternly crossing her arms and tapping her talon foot. Silvira looks at her brother, who shrugs, and the Archsage, who just floats. She looks back at the betas, so she could explain by stating, It's not that simple, I'm afraid. The betas exchange looks, then back at her now, wanting to know what she means. Silvus now sits on a chair to tell stories to a gathering of hatchlings, who seem to be very interested. The grown-ups are also intrigued as they stand listening. The two cousins, Sophie and Eco, also pull chairs to sit between him. And then the Alpha Prince defeated the evil dark Mistcaster and brought peace to the entire kingdom. Silvus finishes his short story. The crowd in front gives him applause. The hatchlings sitting in front of him start begging for him to tell them another story. As Silvus tries to think of another story, he spots his mother having a conversation with the other two betas present. The only betas missing are from Mistcaster and Tricia. The way she spoke makes him worry that something bad is about to happen. He is aware of what is going on, His mother did not need to tell him otherwise. His train of thoughts gets interrupted by his robe being tugged.
Mr. Silvus, are you okay?
The same girl raptor, who is now sitting on his lap, asks with a nervous tone. Silvus snaps back to her frightened face as the crowd and the other hatchlings look at him with concern. Sophie and Eco also give him concerned looks. Oh, nothing. I just thought I saw something. So where was I? Oh, yes. So Silvus tells his stories for the rest of the night. It is the last peaceful night he will embrace before his unexpected adventure. End of chapter 5.